Well, first of all, let me go in chronological order. In the 80s, this very same person I was mentioning earlier, Christopher Thierry, who had the thesis about mother tongues, said to us very clearly, reduce the volume to the lowest level that you can while still receiving the entire message because of damage to our ears. And I can tell you that even before remote, that Jessica, I was in Buenos Aires and I lived there for years, and some of the health standards are not as good as they are, let's say, in Europe or the States. And I saw these poor guys in the street with a jackhammer. I walked by, and I could hardly even stand it. And these poor guys were working, and I checked. They had no ear protection. And that's what we're doing. We're saying, okay, it's part of the job. And that's what I did. I would be in a booth with a headset on. Everything was a professional setup, but something would happen. There would be a feedback. All of a sudden, this screech in my ears. And I remember very well once being in so much pain, and it was such a surprise that I just grabbed them and threw them. And they landed in the glass. It didn't break the glass, but I just remember how disgusted I was. But I didn't report it. I knew the technician didn't do it on purpose. And I saw it just like those guys with a jackhammer. I thought, well, it's my job. And we can't do that. I can tell you that I've lost hearing. I'm older, and that part of that is natural, but I think part of it's related to this profession. Don't ruin your ears. So now, as Adrian said, so even before remote, we had this problem. But now we know from reports from Canada that it's the remote aspect that has increased by something like 3 or 4-fold the number of injuries. And some of these people, I know a person at the United Nations who lost his balance in the stairway because of an acoustic shock. There are people who have been who could not work for weeks or maybe even months because of acoustic shock. One of the reasons that this happens is the sound is so poor, with all the crackles and all the lack of definition and it being a bad internet connection or whatever the cause may be, that we tend to turn it up. And we tend to turn it up saying, it's natural. I know I did that in the booth frequently. Just turn it up because I'm so nervous, and I have this overwhelming desire to understand what on earth the person is saying. And there comes a point where more volume won't help. It will hurt. And so that's something you need to learn. Don't turn it up like that because it won't help. And it's more common with this. And people will call in on a telephone. In fact, in Canada, a couple of the main incidents were that. Somebody called in on a phone, and it created some kind of huge feedback. So we're in sort of a new territory now with remote about how to do this. Just be aware, and don't be like the guys with a jackhammer. You don't have to do this. You can say, I can't hear. Don't turn it up beyond a certain level. Say it's inaudible. It's inaudible. The interpreter cannot hear. Please watch out for your ears. Thanks for reminding us of that, Adrian.
One thing, David, I really, really appreciate your video on protecting the ears. I think that not enough attention in the United States is being given to interpreters' hearing health.
Yeah.
I think it's deficient, the attention.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, also within the interpreters' communities, I think we'd rather work right now than take care of our ears. And that's unfortunate, and I think we're going to pay the price later on.
Adrian,
thank you for your video.
You're so right to say that. I'm so happy that you're saying that. And there was a period when acoustic shock and all that was on everybody's lips, and I did that video, and we had lots of seminars about it, and now it seems to be fading, and I think you're right. It's because there's so much more work. I mean, we're all working online. It's no longer this panic about the pandemic, and I think you're exactly right. We are going to listen and struggle and try to figure out what on earth a person is saying, even if it's blasting our ears, and that's not good. And maybe you could mention that.
Yes, my pleasure. I feel so passionate about this, and it's the lack of attention given, at least in the United States, to interpreters' hearing health. We are pushed into these platforms, and the common ones that are used by institutions in the US, I don't have to name them, we know them. And the sound quality isn't up to ISO standards, but we still take the work.
Yeah.
I believe that interpreters right now are more concerned with working than paying attention to their hearing health. And I know that IEC has done studies and research and put out papers on protecting your hearing. David has a video about protecting your hearing and requiring good sound. FIT has also put on workshops in Europe or presentations on workshops on hearing health. But I'm going to give you an example of why I was very concerned. The organization that I work for trained me to for simultaneous, to take an earbud, put it in my ear, okay, and then take a second set of headsets and put them on my head like this. So then now I have two sound signals going into my ears. When I saw that, red flags went up, and I was very concerned. So anyways, I still feel very passionate about this. I make adjustments to not expose my ears to uncontrollable sounds, because I don't know when an acoustic shock is going to come. The platforms do not regulate the sound that's coming from a person connecting from a telephone, from a Wi-Fi signal, from a cable signal, from the platform. All of these different strengths of signals are coming into my ears without me being able to control it. And so I just am very careful these days. And I thank David for the video. And I have also shared it with other people regarding how they can protect their hearing.